want to wrap this up by talking about the attitude of appreciation. Appreciation is probably the single most overlooked and yet most powerful tool for the leverage of influence. I can't remember exactly who it was way back when. It may have been Einstein or Newton or someone in that realm of thought and science that said, if you give me a lever long enough, I could move the earth. I believe that lever is influence. And I think the fulcrum that lever rests upon in order to move the earth is appreciation. You might know it as gratitude. It really simplified, it's thank you. But appreciation really goes even further than that. It has to be dovetailed with expectation. Appreciation that isn't tied with what you expect of someone is manipulation. When someone does something that you're grateful for, when you have an expectation that they're going to perform, deliver, give, appear, become, whatever, and they live up to that expectation or exceed that expectation, then the only natural response should be appreciation. Unfortunately, many of us have lived our lives with so little show of appreciation toward us that we're absolute bumfuddled when we have to figure out how to give appreciation to someone else. It is so hard just to look at someone that we know and care about, someone that we love dearly, and say thank you for, and then finish that sentence with something honest, something true, something sincere, something specific. You know, if you look at the rules of the Dale Carnegie How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of those rules says, be lavish in your praise, or approbation, I think is the word that he uses. That's a powerful concept. It shouldn't be, hey, thanks. You know, that's kind of mundane. It's kind of dull. What it says is, hey, you almost got that right, man. Appreciate you, kind of taking up my time and almost doing it. That's not what appreciation is. The attitude of appreciation should be specific. It should be directly tied to something that has been accomplished. When I do this mentoring program in high schools, and we get to this attitude of appreciation as one of the 9 lessons of mastery, I challenge the kids to get out their phones, go to their Facebook friends list, and find at least 5 friends, aunts, uncles, relatives, neighbors, kids that they go to school with. And start the phrase with, thank you for. And then send them a text message, a Facebook message, post it on their wall, send them a status update, and tag them in it, a photo, and tag them in it, something that goes directly to them, that expresses directly to them something that you are specifically thankful for. And I tell the kids, it is not it is not acceptable to say, thank you for having blue eyes, or thank you that you have such pretty hair, or I'm grateful that you're a nice person. But to think of some deed or characteristic, deed is usually even better, something that they've actually done, to say, I appreciate the way you held the door for me the other day when my hands were full of books. I thank you, Mom, for putting up with me staying out late at night when I'm not supposed to. I thank you, Dad, for helping me with my homework. Expressing gratitude, thanks, and appreciation for a specific thing is extremely important in the act of appreciation. The attitude of appreciation has to encompass that. The next part of that is that it's got to be lavish. Again, we don't want to say, yeah, thanks. Hey, thanks, Dad, for the homework. But to be almost over the top with it. Why? Because here's what brain scientists have told us for years. The whole concept of building up self-esteem in our kids that, in my opinion, has led to this attitude of entitlement. This cycle of evolution in our society kind of started in the late 70s and early 80s when we realized that for every one negative word spoken to a child. You're ugly, you're fat, you're stupid, you're a failure, I only see you in jail the rest of your life. For every one of those phrases or words that are used, it takes 17 positive ones to overcome it. If the best appreciation we can give is, yo, thanks, it's going to take a long time to overcome all the other negative that we're hearing in the media, that we're hearing on the news, that we're hearing as we're driving in traffic and getting the salute from other drivers. All of that negativity coming into our mind will not be overwhelmed by yo, thanks. We need to be lavish in our praise and our appreciation. It needs to be blatant, but it also needs to be appropriate. A teacher shouldn't walk up to a student and go, wow, you look hot in that dress today, or man, I like those jeans. Neither should a student say that to a teacher. Neither should an employee say that to a boss. Now, behind closed doors, or at least in the comfort of my wife only hearing it from me, I think it's appropriate from time to time to say to her, you're looking pretty good today. I appreciate the time you spend in the gym to take care of your body. I know yoga's not easy. That's a good, blatant, lavish, specific, appropriate appreciation. For me to say that to someone else's wife, not so much. For someone else's wife to say that to my wife, I'll leave that between the ladies because they have a whole different language that sometimes I don't speak so well. I think in appreciation, the attitude of appreciation also demands that there be public displays of earned gratitude. And by that I mean there may be a time when it goes beyond, hey, thanks for doing such and such, and into the place of saying, hey, everybody, I want you to realize what so-and-so did. Now, we talked earlier about expectations and intrinsic motivators, or those motivations that are self-identified, self-imposed motivators. Sometimes those only come about when the challenge, if you will, the competition is set up to say, hey, I'm not saying anybody else has done a bad job, but I just want you to look at the reports that Jim has been turning in. And Jim has gone out of his way to have them early. He's gone to extra detail in the way that they're put together, they're bound properly, they're stapled. This is not what we expect of everybody, but this is incredible as raising the bar and setting a new standard. So I just want to say thanks to Jim in front of everybody. What an awesome job you've done on this project. There is a need for that, both to reward the individual who has earned that type of appreciation and to motivate, intrinsically motivate, the group of people who are their peers or who get to see them. Because very seldom do you have someone who receives that kind of accolade in public that others don't go, man, I need some of that. Now, there are the odd cases. My wife would probably just have a conniption fit if I called her up in front of 500 people and told everybody all the wonderful things she does for me, because she doesn't want to be in the spotlight or to be recognized. It's hard enough for her and her little work group of 5 people to have that kind of acknowledgement. So it may not be right for everybody. There's a great book, and I cannot remember the names of the authors, but you can find it by its title. It's The 5 Languages of Appreciation. And it talks about everything from the right words to use to how to set up a system within your workplace to, and I believe it's Dr. White is one of the people who wrote it. I can't remember the other one, but it talks about appropriate touch in the workplace and how the 5 languages of communication that most people operate with, whether it's kinetic or kinesthetic or whatever, the learning styles and all that, how it all dovetails together with how to appreciate someone. I bring it down to simply say there should be an attitude of appreciation within your workplace, within your relationships at home, parent to child, child to parent, spouse to spouse, and even within your community. Get involved in nonprofits, get involved in local community events, and invest yourself in appreciating the people who go out of their way for you. There's a big march going on with the big 9/11 stuff. Almost every year, firefighters go out and do something to recognize the fallen heroes. Soldiers will go out and do something to recognize fallen heroes. 9/11 is just one date that marks a major event in our country's history that being recognized again and again shows appreciation for other people who do the same stuff. That shows appreciation for those who gave up their lives and their time and made sacrifices so that others would survive. That type of appreciation is a community effort that we all should be involved in some way, even if it's not that specific thing, something else that's near and dear to the passions of our heart. But the appreciation that you show to your family, to your friends, and to your coworkers should become an attitude that you live your day with. Every time a thought comes to mind, hey, I'm thinking about Jim right now. Man, what could I say to Jim that would express to him how much I really appreciate what he does? How do I say that? What do I say? What will it look like? When will I do it? Is there an opportunity to do it in public that would be appropriate? Or should it be a private display of encouragement? And sometimes encouragement is even needed at the helm of failure. When someone is in that place where you know they have tried and tried and tried and they just can't get it right, you need to encourage them to move on to another thing. Or maybe you need to encourage them to try a little harder or try a different path or get more assistance. But don't just let them continue to fail until they find themselves to be or believe themselves to be a failure. You can encourage them in private in a way that will push them through that failure rather than leaving them in it, and change their attitude about the circumstances that they find themselves in. So using the attitude of appreciation, you might hear a common phrase, an indicative phrase in the attitude of appreciation might say something like, changing your schedule to meet that new client's needs really exemplified a picture of our company that we need in the marketplace. Thank you so much for that extra effort. When you have an attitude of expectation and all of the parameters are set up so that people know when they've had a win and they know when they're really close, the attitude of appreciation coming in behind that to say, man, I know if I just live up to that standard, man, it's going to be incredible. Those are powerful tools and powerful opportunities to really motivate and to change the lives of people around you. Use it in your family, use it in your community, use it in your workplace. But the attitude of appreciation is a very powerful tool for influence. It is the fulcrum upon the leverage of influence that gives you the ability to move the world.